And welcome back. With Christmas fast approaching and the COVID-19 cases continuing to rise, celebrating the holidays this time of year could be a little bit different compared to previous years due to the social isolation, the stress, but most of all, the uncertainty that's been caused by this pandemic. Many people experience symptoms of depression as well as anxiety during December, which have been known to be called the holiday blues. A person could also be experiencing a type of depression, which is known as seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. Now, the question is, how can one navigate through these things, particularly at this time of year and uncertain times? Joining us to share a little bit more and give us some details and insight is the founder and president of Scudder Intervention Services Foundation, Brett Scudder, and we're thankful to be joined with him. And Brett, good to have you.
Good morning, my brother. Good morning. And thank you for being here. Thank you for the opportunity.
No, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to take the time to really talk to you, because it is a critical time as we are getting ready for our holiday show, right? We're here and we're preparing to enter into this holiday season. But as I share with many people, that the holidays are a time for happiness on one side of the aisle, and then on the other side, you could have a lot of depression and grief. And so for people who aren't doing too well and have this COVID-19 fatigue, give us some insight into how do we deal with these things called the holiday blues?
Well, I got to tell you, my brother, this year is so different on every level, and I mean it in every sense of the word. We have COVID, which is really the crisis we're facing right now, and normally what would have been a holiday for everyone, Thanksgiving, Christmas, of gathering and getting together, and now we're socially distanced, we're isolated, the fear factor. There are so many variables that we have to factor in this year, and it's driving people's anxiety, depression, and so many ways. So here's the first thing people need to understand: it's okay to feel the way that you're feeling. It's okay to feel stressed, anxious, depressed, and just feeling a sense of being overwhelmed. It's okay. Don't let anyone tell you that you should not feel that way, because if you feel that way, it's okay. If you are feeling that way, please reach out for help. There are a number of places or even people in your family you should just be talking with about how you're feeling. Our biggest message here and in the mental health field is for people to just talk about how they're feeling and know that it's okay to be feeling that way, because we have never experienced in our lifetime, many of us, what we're going through right now and the uncertainty of what's to come. And so we want people to understand that it is okay to just say, I'm not feeling okay today. I'm stressed out. I'm overwhelmed, and express what those feelings are. The
Yep.
other side of that, too, is males are always locked down or afraid to share their emotions, especially when on normal circumstances. So we got to understand that we have to break the mold right now as to how males are even dealing with this pandemic and this time of, a lot of pressure on them as well, but there's no outlet for them as well. So let's start with just having the conversation
Right.
with
And
each
um,
other and anywhere.
yeah, and talk about having that conversation. I think you can better understand when you know what a person is really dealing with and going through. And so we put out in the beginning of the segment talking about seasonal affective disorder. Some people call it being sad, right? So how does a person identify an individual who may be going through seasonal affective disorder, and how is it classified?
Well, so here's the thing, and a reason why I said what I said the way that I said it is because sometimes when we're looking for things, we may miss what's really happening, and so a lot of times people are feeling, the seasonal effect of how it's affecting them, but don't know how to express it, and if they even express it, may not be the way that people may catch on to. What has been very successful is not to try to identify what season affective disorder is, but just letting people know that in this season, in this time, everyone is going through something right now, and that's something that you're going through. If you feel it is an emotion, that emotion can be something else. The important thing is to talk about it, right? And by talking about it and being, let's just say, vulnerable,
Hmm.
talking about it, then we can really get to the root of it. Is it seasonal depression, or is just this feeling of right now, or is something situational, or something has been going on for a couple of weeks, something may have been going on since March, but again, I try to move away from diagnosis and those labels, because we started put people into fear of talking. So we want people to just talk. Let's just talk about how we're feeling, and then by how we're feeling, we can then connect to additional care and services that will help people. But seasonal affective disorder is very high during this time here in the north because of the cold weather and the isolation from the cold weather.
Yeah. And for you, talk to us about what your workload has been like, because normally during this time of year, we do have to deal with the holiday blues, people's feelings of loss, grief, and emotion. You couple that with what's happening with COVID-19, and we've got major issues.
We've seen over 400% increase in our workload here at the Scudder Intervention Services Foundation and the Suicide
Wow.
Institute. And a lot of that, my brother, to be honest with you, are just people who are just falling out. There are people on the far end who are not being heard, or no one is hearing how they're feeling about what they're going through because they're afraid to express that. They're afraid to express how depressed they feel, the fear of going outside, the isolation, the impacts of the isolation, the grief of losing a loved one, the uncertainty of all that's going on. And now on top of that, we've seen in the past 2 weeks another heightened increase in just this whole thing around the vaccination. A lot of people are fearful of the vaccination. They still don't understand what this is. And if they have pre-existing conditions, how is that going to impact them in what they're already going through? So we've just been adding layers and layers and layers on top of pain people are hurting, but they're not getting enough outlet to talk about how they're feeling, what they're feeling, and not having that panic button pressed just because they've said they're feeling overwhelmed or feeling suicidal or feeling like I don't want to live through this anymore because it's just too much. So we've seen since March 400% increase in our workload, but since December, since Thanksgiving, right before Thanksgiving, another uptick in that because a lot of people were just not dealing with, not seeing their family or being with family or being the first holiday without a loved one that they lost from COVID. So we're seeing constant growth every single day in people just reaching out, the cries that they're doing, the begging for just, I need someone to hear me, just to listen, not to judge me, not to label me. I mean, it's so heartbreaking that we're trying very hard to just keep the services going just to give people an outlet.
Well, give me an idea for people who want to get in touch with you and have somebody to talk to during this time. How do people go about that? Because, yeah, we want to also promote people getting help. So how can they go about utilizing the services that you have and you being that voice?
Yeah, so thank you. So we're a 24/7 service. We're local in New York City. In our work, we said there's no social distancing in suicide prevention, right? So we understand that when people are feeling these acute emotions of just hopelessness and helplessness, sometimes they really need human interaction. So we're available 24/7 by phone, and if needed, can come out and meet with someone if they're feeling that sense of overwhelm. 917-651-1889. We can talk with you or text with you, whichever one is comfortable for you. We get a lot of people texting us now because they just feel it's more convenient. Our website is sisfi.org, and we're on social media and all over the place just so we can interact and be reached by people who are feeling a sense of just needing to connect. And I just want to say this, ladies and gentlemen, people, it's okay to not feel okay right now. I myself, as someone who's working in this field, I've had nights I had breakdown crying. I have days I wake up, I don't want to get out of bed. I have days I just feel like, holy crap, when is this pandemic going to be over? So I'm being honest with you about me being vulnerable in a time where I've never experienced something like this, for you to realize that there are those of us who are providing services to you who are feeling the same way you're feeling. So don't be ashamed, don't be afraid. We're all in this together, and normalizing this conversation and being okay with being vulnerable is how we truly are going to make it through this safely, mentally, emotionally.
Brett, we got to leave it there, but thank you so much. I mean, the number that sticks out in my head, 400% increase in workload. So just know our thoughts and prayers continue to be with you as you do a good job of trying to hold others up, especially right now. Brett Scudder, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. And thank you for BronxNet for staying focused on this.
Yes, well, we want to continue to stay focused, and we want to continue to provide information for our viewers. If you want more information, I encourage you, visit their website, sisfi.org. Also, you can follow them on social media at SISFI. All right, we encourage you, don't go anywhere. We still have more show coming up. Open will return right after this.